but we still have to go around this. How are we going to find that? Pi times what? Is it 10? It's 20. You're using radius. Now, when do we use the radius for a circle?
Angles.
When it's half of it. Half of
When do we need to use a radius? A radius is half of the diameter. When do we need to use that? Well, this is a circular shape.
Whenever we need to find the diameter.
I'm
No,
lost too.
I know that we have to cut it, I don't know when we cut it in half.
The area of a circle uses the radius. The circumference or distance around the circle uses the diameter. You need to remember that. So that if I wanted to, if they said you want to paint this mirror, then I'm going to have to find the area of that circle and take half of it. And find the area of this rectangle, 30 times 20. But if we just want to go around the outside of it, we want the perimeter or distance around, and we use the diameter. Okay, so we're going to multiply to find this. We're going to multiply pi, which is what?
3.14.
Times the diameter, which is what? 20. How do we know that's the diameter? Because some people are wondering. What is the definition of diameter?
The whole thing across.
The line
Goes across the middle of a circle. Whether, it doesn't matter where it comes, as long as it crosses the center and hits two sides. That's a diameter. So we know that the distance across this circle is 20, right?
Yeah.
Because this is 20. If this is 20, the distance across up here's got to be 20.
Okay.
Because it's a rectangle. See, they didn't tell us all this stuff, but they told you it's a rectangle, which lets you know the distance across this circle is 20. You see what I'm saying? So that's the way. They don't always just give you the stuff and ask you to to solve it in computation. It'll give you a figure like this and say, figure that out, because that's when you're going to have to figure it out at your house. You have a mirror here, and you want to put a trim around it. How are you going to figure out how much trim to go buy? You have to know that it's the distance around it. We know that this shape is made up of a rectangle and half of a circle. That's all they had to tell us, because we know how to find the perimeter of a rectangle and the circumference, which is the perimeter of a circle, by using these formulas. So we multiply pi times the diameter to find the distance around, but you'll really be finding the distance around, you see, this whole circle. You see what I mean? But we only need half of it, so that's why we're going to do it and cut it in half. Right, right. But that's the only way to do it. It's the only way we can figure half. There is no formula for the perimeter of half of a circle. But we do know there's one for a circle, and if they said it's half of it, cut it in half. If they said it's a fourth of a circle, divide it by 4. So we know that that is 62.8 inches. So now that part is 62.8. This part was 80. And the question says, to the nearest whole, how many inches will you need? 143. 143 inches. How many feet is that? Feet and inches. How are you going to figure that out? Because you're not going to go into the fabric store and say, give me 143 inches of ribbon.
142 divided by 12.
143 divided by 12. We had to round up because of the 8. Divided by 12, correct, because there are 12 inches in each foot. So we need 11 feet, 11 inches. You probably would go on and get 12 feet of ribbon, and you know you'd have enough. Rather than going there and say, just give me a whole long piece, I don't know how much I need. You're paying more money than you need to pay, or you don't get enough. You know, you'd have to go in there with something to tell the people if you wanted to do that, and that's how you would figure it out, okay? Let's look now at page 248. 248. Again, when you're dealing with area, perimeter, and volume, you won't get a problem that just says, find the area of this shape that's this long and this wide. You won't get a problem like that probably. You're gonna get a picture like this and it says, the shaded part of the figure at the right shows the walkway around the pool at the local community center. The pool is a rectangle that measures 34 feet by 18 feet. Find the number of square feet of the walkway around the pool. Okay. So the walkway is what area? What's the walkway?
The perimeter.
On this picture, what represents the walkway? Okay. The what?
Blue.
The blue. The blue is the walkway. Can you picture that? There's that pool sitting in the middle there. People can walk all the way around there. Okay. They don't just walk around the edge. They can walk in any of that blue space, right? I need to know how much blue space is there, because that's what they're asking. The number of square feet. If they're asking for square feet, you know you have to find the what? Area. Area is the only thing that comes out in square feet. That gives you a clue right there. Plus the fact you know it's covering, okay? Now think about it now. They just want to know the blue. Here's what they gave you.
160.
They want to know the blue, okay? Up here it's black. Same thing. Okay. And they told us that it's 30 feet by 50 feet. How are you going to find out what the blue is? How much is the blue? How are you going to figure that out?
Times side by side.
Okay, when I do side by side, is that going to just be the blue?
No,
If I do side by side, what is it going to be? You're going to be covering up the pool and everything else. Okay, so what would you have to do? What do you think you'd have to do? If it's just think about it logically. If I want to figure out just the blue, how would I figure that out?
Figure out how big is the pool.
Say it again.
Figure out how big is the pool.
You got to know how big the pool is. Once I know how much space the pool takes up, then what can I do?
Subtract that from the.
Subtract it from the blue. You see what I'm saying? Because when I do the 30 by 50, I'm doing all of this. You see what I mean? That's covering up everything. That's the whole thing. But now if I find out how much this takes out of it, I can figure the whole thing and then just figure what's the area of this. And subtract that from the whole thing, you see? You follow what I'm saying? And then you can figure out what's left, and what's left is just the blue. So I need to find out the area of this, okay? What do I need to know to find out the area of that pool?
34 times 18.
Hmm?
Is it 34 times?
Oh, that's the, yeah, okay.
34 feet by 18.
That's what it told us, right? Told you right there. That's why they had to tell you that.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying? They said that the pool is 34 by 18. So it takes up that space. How are you going? So what are you going to do to figure out that area? That's another
68
rectangle,
and
right?
36.
It's 18 and 34. You're still going just outside. It takes up all of this space You got to figure out the space of this that it covers. And the space of that you find by doing what? Multiplying what? 34 times 18 would give us the area of this pool. You see what I'm saying?
The
Yeah.
outside is still just.
If you do the outside, you're just cutting out that little bit.
Okay.
It's all of this space that it's covered, that it's taking out. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Everybody following that? You gotta figure out what, it's taking up some of all of this space, you see? I need to figure out how much of this space is being taken out. And that's the 34 times 18. So the whole thing is 1,500 square feet. This is taking up 612 of those, right? So if I subtract that pool out of it, that's how much of it is just the blue space. But you see what I mean by the logic of it first? You got to figure out whether you know how to do area or not. You have to be able to look at that and say, excuse me.
God bless you.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Excuse me, always comes in threes. You have to be able to figure, okay, there's no way for me to just figure this space here. I got to figure this whole space. But when I figure the whole space, it includes the pool space. We're not trying to walk on water. Well, that's not our job. We got to take that pool space that it's covered up out of the equation. Then what's left will just be the space around it. You see what I'm saying?
So why did you do 50 times 30 instead of 30 on each side?
Because that's perimeter. Perimeter is when you do each side.